Last week, we began the story of Maggie, a recovering drug addict who just spent the last 5 years in prison. She's set to be released to a halfway house, but her plans have changed. Now she sees herself headed to a sanitarium in the desert. What in the world is going to happen to Maggie and the others on the bus with her? Hello there. Welcome back to another night filled with tales of terror. How's everybody doing? I hope you're all doing good, getting ready to get your scare on. So tonight we're going to listen to part 2 of Maggie's story and find out what's going to happen to her and to all the other women on that bus. Fingers crossed that it all turns out all right. So, like in all my other videos, you might find yourself questioning whether or not this story is true or not true. And here's where I ask you just to hang on till the end so we can all find out together. So, with that, what do you say we get started? But before we do, I just want to ask you to click the like and subscribe buttons, leave me a comment down below, turn down the lights. Now, let's begin. As Maggie gathered her wits, she caught a glimpse of the person that had knocked her on her ass. It was a girl, maybe 13 or 14. She was dirty and sweaty with bare feet. She was wearing a stained and tattered hospital gown. The girl turned her head no, then she ran her finger across her neck to give a signal of death. "Are you threatening me?" Maggie got to her feet. The girl shook her head no again and tried to run, but Maggie caught her by the wrist. The girl pulled away from Maggie and ran. Maggie saw a red ribbon bracelet on the ground and picked it up. Maggie held it up and asked the girl if she wanted her ribbon back. The girl stopped in her tracks. She looked at the ribbon, then at Maggie. "You're gonna need that, or you'll die in there." "Die in where?" Maggie demanded. The girl looked over at the bus, then took off running. And that's when Maggie's dead cell phone rang. And the caller's name was Aaron. "Don't go, don't go," Maggie screamed in her sleep. The others on the bus looked at Maggie as she panicked. Maggie was trying to get to her feet while she slept, but it was obvious that someone or something kept pushing her back down. The others were a little freaked out by this. Elsie turned to Tammy and asked her what they should do. "Why are you asking me?" Tammy barked back. "I don't know what to do about that," she said as she jutted her chin out towards Maggie. Janelle shivered. "Ooh, I don't like this, not a little bit." Elsie flashed to look at Janelle, suddenly frightened by the tone of Janelle's words. Maggie's writhing and crying grew more intense. She was getting so loud that she caught Vincent's attention as he drove. "What's going on back there?" he demanded. Rhonda told Vincent that it looked like Maggie was having a nightmare and that she would wake her up. Elsie and Janelle both let out a gasp as Rhonda went to Maggie. Tammy just shook her head and looked forward. Rhonda grabbed hold of Maggie and tried to shake her awake. That only intensified Maggie's screams, leading Elsie to scream. "Maggie, wake up!" Rhonda yelled in her face. Maggie's eyes opened and she looked around wildly. She didn't see Rhonda in front of her. She didn't see anyone or anything. "Help me! Somebody please help me!" she cried out inside her head. "You're gonna die in there!" Those words were vibrating inside her mind. "No, no, no. Oh my God, no!" Maggie screamed, scaring the others. But it got worse. Maggie cried aloud and said, "We're gonna die!" Rhonda jumped away from her. Tammy shook her head, annoyed. Janelle and Elsie stared at Maggie with terrified expressions. Maggie scrambled to her feet. She looked terrified. "Where's Aaron?" The others looked at each other, not knowing what to say. Maggie grabbed her bag and pulled out her cell phone. She tried to turn it on, but it was stone cold dead. Maggie fell back onto her seat. She curled up, held the phone to her chest, and sobbed, wanting so badly to see Aaron. The sun was setting as the bus drove up the long stretch of road leading to Hope Sanitorium. The building looked like something out of the 1800s, large, ornate, and falling apart. Vincent stopped the bus and casually turned to face the girls. He grinned at them as he said, "Your final destination, ladies." Tammy was the first to speak up. "What the hell kind of place is this?" Maggie looked at the building and panic set in. "We can't go in there." She looked at the others with desperation. "They're gonna kill me," Maggie cried as she ran to the back of the bus. The other girls skirted away from her. She was beginning to freak all of them out now. Vincent stood up and glared at Maggie. He looked cold and menacing. The bus doors opened. He kept a dead stare on Maggie. "Everybody get off the bus." All of the girls complied except for Maggie. "No, no, I know what you're gonna do." Elsie stopped and looked back at Maggie fearfully. "Off the bus now," Vincent barked, making Elsie practically jump off the bus. Vincent spoke inaudibly into his cell phone, all the while glaring at Maggie. Terrified, Maggie dropped to the floor of the bus, remembering the girl's words, "You're gonna need that." Maggie shoved her hand in her pocket and, to her shock, pulled out the red ribbon bracelet. As fast as she could, she put it around her wrist. She had no idea if this ribbon really meant anything, but the girl's voice came back to her again, telling her she'd need it, so she wasn't going to take any chances. "You waiting for an engraved invitation? Don't worry, it's coming," Vincent snickered creepily. The other girls focused on what was happening inside the bus with Maggie and Vincent. They didn't hear Wilma, the administrator, walk up on them. "Well, what lovely ladies we have here," Wilma said delightfully. The girls whirled around and quickly gathered into a line like they were used to doing. Wilma looked them over with an eerie look in her eyes. She walked to the front of the line where Tammy stood. "What's your name?" "Tammy Cooper," Wilma nodded as she walked in front of Janelle. "And your name, darling?" The girls stiffened as they watched another man walk out of the sanatorium. He looked a lot like Vincent. The way he walked was off. His stride looked like he was gliding. Maggie let out another scream filled with more desperation and terror, making the other girls jump and shiver. Wilma was unaffected. "I asked you a question." Janelle was trembling. "Huh?" Wilma stepped closer to her, looming over Janelle's little body. Tammy couldn't take it. This intimidation game was too much for her. "Why are you treating us like we're still on the inside?" Wilma kept her eyes glued on Janelle. Janelle Jones, ma'am." Satisfied, Wilma's smile seemed to stretch further. "Very well then, shall we?" Wilma gestured for the girls to start walking towards the sanatorium. Still inside the bus, Maggie stood up. Through the window, she saw the others walking towards that dreadful place. She screamed at the other women not to go in there, but they continued to walk. Just then, Maggie's cell phone rang, and again it showed it was Aaron. She fumbled to answer it and put it to her ear. "Aaron, I need you," she cried. The phone was filled with static, but she knew Aaron's voice.
"Magpie, get away."
The static died and her phone was once again dead. Maggie saw that Vincent was making his way down the bus towards her. She looked at the red ribbon tied around her wrist and then back at Vincent. She saw the other guy walking towards the bus. "Do or die, Magpie," she told herself. She confronted Vincent and demanded that he get away from her. Vincent only smiled at her, so she lifted her arm and showed him the red ribbon bracelet. To her surprise, Vincent cowered. Maggie took a step forward, screaming at Vincent to stay away from her. Vincent obliged by backing all the way off the bus. Maggie was surprised and afraid. Unsure of what to do, she pushed the button that closed the bus doors. Suddenly, she could hear the shrieks and screams coming from the other girls. She was sickened by the sound. She spotted the other man walk up to Vincent. They seemed to communicate telepathically. No words were spoken, but it was clear the other man knew she had on the red ribbon bracelet. He turned, and his dark eyes bore into the bus and Maggie. His anger took over. He grabbed the bus doors and started to pull at them, but Maggie quickly showed him the bracelet, and he stopped and backed away. She heard Aaron again.
"Magpie, get away now."
She looked at the bus console and saw the key still in the ignition. She didn't know the first thing about driving a bus, but today was a good day to learn. She started up the engine and forced it into gear. The bus jolted forward and died. Vincent grinned at her as the other guy glared at her with pure hatred. Maggie closed her eyes. "Please, God, help me." Vincent and the other guy were creeping towards her. She started the bus again, shoved it into gear, and this time the bus drove forward, lunging into Vincent. Maggie screamed with terror and disgust as Vincent was crushed beneath the bus. She chanced to look back and saw green sludge dumping out of Vincent. She had to keep going, so she turned the bus onto the long road and gunned it. To her horror, she saw the other guy running after her. He was abnormally fast. He stretched his arms out, ready to grab the bus. He was going to reach her, Maggie thought. She pushed her foot down on the gas, and the bus shoved forward at increased speed. She made it to the entrance, but as she turned, the bus skidded out of control and slammed against a guardrail. With the jolt of the bus, she hit her head against the steering steering wheel, dazing her. She took a look back at the entrance to the property. She couldn't see the other guy, but heard a loud, hard thud on the bus's roof. She turned the key to start the engine. It didn't start. "Oh no, come on, please," she begged as she tried again and got nothing. "Aaron, I need you," she cried out, then screamed, terrified by the other guy's face staring at her from the front windshield. His eyes were bigger now, and he had hair-like antennas swaying from his head. He licked the windshield, leaving a thick trail of slime. Oh my God, he's a bug. Maggie fell out of the driver's seat as she realized what was trying to get her. She scrambled to the back of the bus, filled with complete horror. She held her wrist up, showing the bracelet. It was all she had, and it seemed to work. Eventually, Maggie drifted into a light sleep. She saw Aaron kneeling in front of her. "In the morning, Magpie, you run and don't look back," he said to her. Maggie opened her eyes and sat up with a gasp. The bus was filled with heat and steam from the morning sun. She looked at the windshield. The slime had dried. She sat back and closed her eyes. She considered just staying and letting time take her away. But then she heard herself saying, "No, you got to run now, Magpie." She opened her eyes, got to her feet, grabbed as many water bottles as she could carry, walked to the bus entrance, took a deep breath, opened the doors, stepped off, and ran. Did you see that coming? Do you think Maggie made it out all right? Well, I hope you enjoyed part 2 of Maggie's story tonight. And in case you were wondering, yes, this is a work of fiction conjured up in my scary brain for your entertainment. So it's looking like it's time to say goodnight. But before we go, I just want to ask you to please click the like and subscribe buttons, leave me a comment down below, and prepare for more tales of terror delivered to you weekly at 3 a.m. So until next time, stay safe and stay scary.